Welcome back to the channel. First off, a little housekeeping. I think I'm going to drop the For the Road part from this YouTube channel. It's just going to be Jethro Bronner, and this will just be videos from my workshop and things I'm doing and behind the scenes stuff. Episode, what's it, 17? 17 is going to be the last of the For the Road branded stuff. The rest of it's just going to be, just numbered episodes. Yeah, okay, got that out of the way. Well, yeah, part of that is because I didn't really have, I started this YouTube channel just on the account that I used to subscribe to channels that I liked. So I never really had a name, it was just my name. And the same thing for my Instagram. So I didn't want my YouTube channel to be cool, the video series called For the Road, the channel's name is different, and it's different to my Instagram, so I've kind of just scrapped the whole thing. It's just Jethro Bronner on Instagram and Jethro James Bronner. Jethro James Bronner on Instagram and Jethro Bronner on YouTube. So just going to make everything easier. Now the obvious thing that you might have noticed is the Sprint GT behind me is now stripped down to metal, mostly, at least on the outside, and it was bad. It was I set aside a weekend, I'm going to use some paint stripper and just get all the paint off, and then I'll send it away to be sandblasted. No, the filler on it was just crazy. Inches and inches of filler, all over the car. The rear fenders, even though the rear fenders are fine, they have a few little dents and dings here and there. They were just covered in an inch of filler, on each side, and it was just crazy, and it took forever to get off. I started off with using paint stripper, which it gets through the filler and then it peels it up, which is quite nice and easy, but it doesn't work so well for thick stuff. So then I changed to using a gas torch, which worked really quickly, but you go through gas pretty quickly on it as well. And then eventually I just ended up using a heat gun, and that was the best way to do it. Just as long as you're careful about not putting too much heat into the panel, you just find a nice spot, really thick filler, put the heat gun on it, get a paint scraper underneath it, and it just comes off in great big chunks. But all in all, I pulled off, and I'm not kidding, 11 kilograms of filler off this car. And it's just insane. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen it. I was putting up photos as I went along, and it was just the heaviest filler ever seen on a car. And there were some spots where I totally understand why they had filler. The front of this car is patched together. It's welded here, and it's all brazed together under the front of the grille, and this doesn't line up, and this sticks out too far, and this is all bent up. And so they used filler to just kind of hide this. In the middle here, there's a great big dent. So the filler on here was an inch thick. But the weird thing was that the rest of the car was also covered in filler. The roof and the rear fenders and the front fenders, they were all totally covered in filler. Which is really strange because those panels are actually fine. There's not too much damage on them. But anyway, the point is my weekend, my sort of 2-day weekend job of getting this thing ready to go to the sandblasters ended up taking 5 days. Yeah, it took forever. So, and my slot with the sandblasters I had to give that up. So it's going to sit here for the weekend, and on Monday it's going to go away and be blasted, and then we'll know the true extent of the damage on it. But I'll say this, overall I'm pleasantly surprised by the condition of the body. I thought that the front of this thing was just going to be beyond trashed. I mean, it's pretty trashed. I think I'm going to have to replace the nose. But I thought that there would be, really bad accident repairs on the fenders, or really terrible rust. And overall, it's not that bad. There's some rust in the battery box right behind me here. That rust is pretty usual, pretty standard. Oh, okay, I'll explain. Everyone's hey, didn't you build this car? Why is it so covered in filler? It's I bought this car when I was a teenager, and it was a bare shell, a freshly painted bare shell. The guy who I bought it from was going to do a GTA replica, and he had someone do the bodywork for him. And that guy, whoever that guy was, if you're watching this, screw you. He took corners. He like cut corners everywhere he could. So tons of filler. Like most of the rust was just like bondoed over, and yeah, most of the rust was bonded over or like riveted over with like a plate and then covered up, so you had like no idea it was there. So there's rust in the floor, rust in the battery box. Front of this car's kind of screwed. Behind the rear windshield's pretty bad as well. But anyway, it took me like a ton of time to get it done like this. And it's a really big, messy job. So that was the last couple of days. And yeah, it's Thursday morning now. On Monday morning, it's going to go away and be sandblasted. Yeah, I'm going to show you up close a few of the real problem spots. Right, as I mentioned, the front of this car is beat up pretty badly. It's had an accident at some point. Something's hit the car right about here, and you can kind of tell. You see this chassis leg is a little bit bent up. You can see the dents from it. And this headlight ring is kind of bent out of shape. This was all hidden under filler. So I think the front of the car is going to have to be replaced. Yeah, you can see this was under the battery box. Yeah, that is pretty nasty because this was really important structural stuff for the front of the car. And yeah, it's just rusted through, and that's why the radiator cross member, obviously stuff's been getting in there, going down and rotting out where the anti-roll bar mounts are, under there. So there's going to have to be a lot of work to replace that. I haven't gotten around to the doors, boot lid, or bonnet yet. They're all sitting over there. I'll start stripping those sometime. Yeah, so like this fender was totally covered in filler, and it's actually not that bad. A little bit of work with the body file and some panel beating kit will get this nice and flat. Here you can see typical Alfa 105 badly repaired sills. So I think the sills are going to have to be done. The floor, yeah, where the seats mount up, they're actually cracked through and rusted. So quite a lot of work to be done here. This fender was the worst in terms of being covered in filler. Like this lip here was covered in an inch of filler, which is so weird because the profile is actually pretty good. It's not dented up. It doesn't look like it's been in an accident or anything. Yeah, I'm just kind of confused by whoever did the bodywork on this car. Just thought putting an inch of filler over the whole thing's better than filing it. Tail end of the car is actually pretty good. This didn't have any filler on it, apart from down the bottom here. Yeah, it's still a pleasant surprise. It's in pretty good shape. This is really bad though. This brazed in repair patch along the bottom of the rear windshield. And that's gonna have to be cut out and replaced with a new aftermarket panel. Yeah, more rust around the fuel tank. Yeah, more rust in this sill. So sills on both sides are gonna have to be done. There's nothing that you can really do about it. And yeah, the roof is pretty good. It needs a few dents knocked out. Oh, and by the way, this frame that it's sitting on is my sandblasting frame. So you can tip this car either way. You can flip it so you can get underneath it and get everything out. Right, so yeah, obviously there's a huge amount of work that's gonna have to go into this car. It's gonna need a new front clip for sure. The only thing is it's super expensive getting something like that to South Africa. I mean, they're expensive enough, but once you include that shipping and import duty and all that, it becomes quite a lot. Once it's sandblasted, I'll talk to my panel beater and we'll see what the best course of action is. But I think it's gonna need a new front clip with new headlight rings, sills and fender repair patches, and the patch on the bottom of the rear windshield. Yeah, obviously, for the blasters, for the media blasters, I think all this inside is just paint. So that'll come off pretty easily. But I thought trying to send a car with this much filler to a media blaster is like asking them to never do work for you ever again. So hopefully they'll be happy enough with me to take this on and just do like the engine bay and the underside and everything. So all that goes to show, if you want to buy an Alfa Romeo 105, you really have to know what you're looking at. because there are a lot of rusty, badly repaired cars out there. Especially, here's a real tip. There are a lot of guys in South Africa buying these cars up, restoring them very cheaply, doing exactly the sort of thing, and shipping them out to Europe and Australia and the UK. So, if you're going to buy a South African car, make sure it's coming from a reputable company. Make sure you have somebody check it out very, very thoroughly, and that they get underneath it and that they look for hidden rust and bad repairs. Anyway, so if you're going to buy an Alfa 105, buy a car like my barn find 1750 GTV, because even though it looks like hell, it's really, really solid and it's going to be a pretty easy rebuild, whereas this is quite a lot of work. Yeah. So anyway, this is off to sandblasting on Monday. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, and check me out on Instagram at JethroJamesBruno. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all next week.